Hello everyone, welcome to AI Anytime channel. In this video, we are going to build a simple chatbot application using very minimal code, completely a low code application that we are going to develop using Dify AI, and Dify AI is the innovation engine for Gen AI applications. It's an orchestration platform where you can build applications without writing a single line of code. You can like it says an open source LLM app development platform. You can define complex AI workflows, build AI agents, knowledge bases, and so on and so forth. Now, it's completely open source. I have a few videos on how you can set it up locally as well through a Docker container. Docker is a container technology, so I have shown this previously on how you can set it up locally. But here in this video, the idea is not to show you, the same thing with DeFi. The idea is if you build build a chatbot or a RAG or a AI agent on DeFi, and how you can, integrate that within a Streamlit application. So you can see it over here. I have something called DeFi Streamlit app. I asked a question called write step by step on how to optimize the ACO of my blog post, and it basically gives me an answer for that. I can also write a fast API code to make an API call using request module or something. You can just try it out, something like this. And what it does, it basically connects with your DeFi platform that you have, the DeFi app, bot that you have created, and it basically answers it here on the Streamlit application. You can see it says, here is an example of a fast API code that makes an API call using the request module. So this is an app that we want to build here. In this video, I'll show you how you can do that. And once you build this application, you can also deploy it on Streamlit Cloud or anywhere else as well. It's pretty easy to deploy that. Now we're going to use Dify and Streamlit. So let's jump in and see how we can build this app now. All right, let's try out something here, guys, with Dify. So if you look at here, I'm currently on Dify dashboard. If you don't have an account, just search on Google Dify AI and then sign in with your Google account or your GitHub account. And this is how it will look like. I already have a project, that's why you see it over here, but probably it will be blank for you if you are coming here for the first time. You can do the same thing locally as well. I recommend you watch my previous videos on DeFi, that how you can set this up in your local machine using Docker. Docker is a container technology if you don't know. I have I have explained that step by step in that other video. Find the link in description. And also on the cloud, there are a couple of videos on DeFi that you can have a look. Let's let's create here, an app. If you look at this, it says create from blank, create from template, and import DSL file. Now, I'm going to talk about this in the last. First, let's see create from blank. You can also create from template. Now, somebody else would have created and published here on the marketplace. You can just use that template to, enhance that further or use it as it is. Now, I'm going to click create from blank. Once you do that, it says, what type of app do you want to create? Do you want to create a chatbot? Do you want to create a text generator? Do you want to create an agent or a workflow which is in beta mode? I'm going to click on chatbot, and I'm going to click on chat flow for advanced user, which has a flow. And this chatbot thingy is like where you have like, just basic orchestrations, of a chatbot using simple setting. This is good for beginners. I'm going to click on chat flow over here. I'm just going to name something like demo app, because the idea here is to build something and use this within the Streamlit app, and how we can do that. Let's click enter the description of the app. So let's click on create now, and I'm going to just call it a demo app for YT. Okay, and let's create. Once I do that, you can find out a default workflow. Whenever you see these kind of things on a canvas, this is in behind you see a canvas. You can build this using JavaScript if you want to build something like this. These kind of interfaces can be built on JavaScript. Now you have start in the left hand side. Now this is where the flow will get started. You will ask some question, LLM will respond to it, and you get an answer where X of text, where text will be given by the end user, the input. Pretty simple. Okay. Now to use this, at the right hand side, you will find out, some configuration. So the first thing is your model, which is, like for this LLM, these are the model that you can find over here. So if you look at GPT 3.5 Turbo, and you have a lot of models. If you search Grok, you can see no model found for Grok. Okay. Now, whatever model is available, you can find it out over here. It says no model found for Gemini. You can also add these model. You can make those available as well. Watch my previous videos to understand that. Now, here in the LLM, let's keep GPT 3.5 Turbo for now, whatever is by default. And then here you can also configure temperature value, the top P, max tokens, whatever you want, stop sequences, blah blah blah. I'll keep it as it is because the idea, as I said, is to build this within the Streamlit application. Okay, that's the idea. Now, you can also use GPT-4o mini and other models, if you want to, use that. But yeah, so let's come here. This is answer. This is where you get the answer. Here is the LLM, and you can find out. Here you can put your system prompt as well, guys. Write your prompt word here, enter to insert a variable, blah blah blah, and message whatever. Right? This is what it is. If you click on preview, it will show here a preview. I'm gonna ask what is AI. It says AI or artificial intelligence refers to the simulation of human intelligence processes by computers or machines, blah blah blah. Whatever you see it over here, right? Now that's the idea. Now this is the simple flow. You can also add a knowledge basis if you want. If you click on, let's go back here, checklist. You can also have image upload features. You can have citations and attribute. If you enable the settings, you can have, if you look at the settings over here, you can find it out local upload URL. Image upload will not work with this model because you are using GPT 3.5 Turbo, which don't have multimodal support. Okay, but just an idea. Now you can publish this app as well. Once you publish the app, you can see action succeeded. Once you click on run app, it will open in a new interface, in a new tab. You see it over here. It says demo app start chat powered by Dify, right? Now you can also embed into sites. You can find out how you can embed in the sites if you want to embed, in your uh, website, e-commerce sites, wherever you want to add it. This is where you can add this. Now, you can also get, if you come here, you can have an API access. Within the API access, you can get your API key. You have to create a new secret key. Let me just create, and of course, I will delete the app, so it doesn't matter. Let me just keep it over here and OK. Now this is your URL. You can just copy it and keep this here because the idea of to how to integrate DeFi, not building a DeFi like a very complex workflow. Now what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna build a front end, here. So let me do that. So let me just do it, and I'm going to create a new folder, demo DeFi, and then come here and open in terminal, create a virtual environment. So let me do that here. Now I'm gonna do python -mvenv.venv, and then after that you can do cd venv scripts activate blah blah blah. Okay, now let's do that. It takes a bit of time. So the idea is now once you have the API guys here, if you come to API access, we have the API key status in service. We can use this app within a Streamlit application. We can use this as a backend engine and use the API to invoke it and answer your questions. And same way you can also build AI agents and all if you want to do that. Now let's me just do cd venv scripts and then activate, use me, and then just do code dot. Now I'm going to open this in VS Code. You can use it or any other IDE if you want. And let me just do an app.py thingy. And then I'm going to create a requirements txt. And I think we are good for now. You can also create .env and things to just do that, but that's fine. Now what I'm going to do is in app.py, let's like just do, okay, first in requirements, we're going to need Streamlit here. So let me just do Streamlit and let's install. So I'm going to do pip install -r requirements txt, and then it's going to install the Streamlit. Streamlit is a Python library that basically helps you build web applications faster. Now, what I'm going to do is you can also use request, but I'm pretty sure that Streamlit will add that here. But if not, you can also use request module, in your app because we need that to make the API calls. Now, first thing is let import requests, and then I'm going to have import Streamlit as st. And then we can have a Dify API key or something where you can set your st.secrets or something where you can bring up st.secrets. Okay, let it install. But meanwhile, I'll just write the next line of logic. Then you have to give the URL guys here. The URL is nothing but your this is an API server. Of course, you can use this, but then you have to give your chat message if you and you should know, you can read this about in their documentation how to call it. You can see it over here. This is what you have to do. If you want to do chat messages, you have to do a post method to this to get a kind of a chat message. You can see send chat message, send a request to the chat application. That's what we're going to use. So let me just copy it from here, this endpoint that we need, and come back here and let's just put that. Okay, now I have to put this in, of course, in like this format. This is my URL, and I hopefully this is okay. This is doing it. Now we are done with the URL. So you can of course give a title to the app. So let me just do a title here. App. I'm gonna call it like DeFi Streamlit app demo or something like that. Or let's just call it Streamlit. Okay, DeFi Streamlit app. You can do a lot of other things. Now what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna set like I'm gonna create a session and like we're gonna use this in a chatbot. It's not an input box like earlier. Streamlit was not. Streamlit, you can also use Streamlit chat, by the way. If you want to build it in better way. Let me just do if conversation ID, not in st.session, of course, state. So let me just do this here. I'm gonna have a session ID for this conversation. Session state dot conversation ID equals, and then this will be empty, nothing will be there. Now this is for the conversation ID. Now once we have the messages, we have to do the same thing. So if messages not in the session state, then we're gonna have an empty list here. So let me just do the empty list, and you can see yes, and we're gonna append that, of course. Now this is fine. So what I'm gonna do is, you can see here now what you can do st.secrets, and then you can just do Dify API key, or you can probably pass the API key here. So you can also get it from like load.env and stuff, but let's just pass it. What we can do, we can directly pass it, because if you are using ht.secrets, you do not have to pass it there, right? You are basically sitting in the environment. I think this will also do Dify API key, but I'll not recommend this. You do it in your like a env file or a config, whatever file that you want to do it. Now st.session underscore st.messages, basically it loops through the messages stored and in display messages from the user and AI according to their roles. So for that, for message, so let me just do for message in st.session state.messages, and I'm gonna do with st.chat. I'm going to have a chat message and then assign a role here. So message and then give a role. Now let's have a markdown, st.markdown, that will show the message with the content, message and then content, and we are good. So basically we need a chat input. Now that will display an input field for the user to basically ask their question, to this app, basically the prompt, and that will get saved, to if the user enters a question. Now we display using st.session st.message and add it is as a user message. Now uh, let me just do that here. So I'm going to do is prompt equals st.chat input, and here you can write enter your question or something like that. Pretty simple thing. And I'm going to do if prompt. So making sure that there is a value inside prompt, then the rest of the code should get executed. So let's do with st.chat underscore message and write user and just use st.markdown and the prompt. That's it. And then st.session underscore state messages. We're going to append that. If you remember the empty list that we have on the top. So I'm going to just do append here and then pass not this, not this, append, and then I'm going to pass role and user and then content. That should be my prompt. Yes, here we go. Now we're going to prepare an API a key basically, API request, excuse me, and that will for the chat message. So let me just do with chat messages and call it assistant. You can follow their documentation as well, guys. You can go through the Dify documentation a bit to understand the formatting and how to parse the output, blah blah blah. And don't forget that we are using OpenAI models, and they have these kind of system prompts and the structure. So you can also look at that. Now here messages placeholder have an empty placeholder kind of a thing, and then I'm going to pass headers. Now this is going from the documentation of how to call the APIs. Now in the headers, so what we're going to have in the headers, guys, one is of course authorization. So let me just do authorization, and in authorization we're going to pass the token like in a bearer token. So let me just do that here, and then you basically define your API key, which is Dify API key. So our authorization thing is good. Now we're going to have a JSON content type. So let me just do pretty much standard thing, guys, here. So I'm going to do a content type application JSON. And I think then we are good with our headers as well. Now we're going to create a payload. So our headers are good. So to make the API request, we need, we need a payload. Now payload has DeFi supports in response mode two types of things. One is blocking and the other is streaming. Blocking will only return a response once it is complete. Streaming will be like stream. So I'm gonna like go with uh, blocking here, and I'm gonna do a create a payload. So let's create a payload. So first is inputs. Excuse me, inputs, and then query. Query is the prompt, and then have a response underscore mode, and I said it has two different types. One is blocking and the other is streaming. If you do streaming, then you have to do that on the Streamlit stream module as well. And then you use conversation underscore ID, and here you pass st dot. To get the ID, you get it from state conversation ID, right? st dot session state dot conversation ID. Here we go, conversation ID, and let's give an user. I'm gonna call it Sonu, or like let's call it AI anytime or something. And then I'm going to have files, nothing in the files. Excuse me. Now our payload is good. We have our payload, guys. Now what we're going to do is, now we're going to do a try except. So let me just do the try except, and after that we can run that we can run this code and see what happens. Let's put this in try cache here, guys. So what I'm going to do is have try, and within this try I'm going to have a response. So let me just do a response, and I'm going to do response equals request dot post. We're going to do a API call here. I'm going to post that with the payload. So the first thing is URL. You're going to put headers equals, I mean, bad suggestion here, guys. Headers equal header, and then you're going to pass JSON equals the payload, where you have all your inputs and everything. Now we have with the response, so I'm gonna raise a status here. Yeah, that's fine. Raise for status, and then have a response underscore data variable where we can just response.read or response.json, where we're going to read the JSON because it returns in JSON. Now I'm going to have a full response. So full response equals response data, yes, dot get, and then I'm going to have the answer thingy and then empty. Nothing is there. Okay, now answer the full response. I'm going to have a new conversation ID here. So let me just do a new conversation ID, and I think that's right. And I'm going to pass a conversation ID, and this will not be that. It will be st.session state.conversation ID, and I think we are good. Okay, now new conversation. Now what I'm going to do is we have to assign that yes, this is right. Now we are good with our try thingy. Let's have an except. Now in except, I'm gonna use request exception. So let's use request module itself. Yeah, this is good. And then I'm gonna have an se st.error. You can use Streamlit error. Uh, Streamlit provides status messages in st.error, warning, info, and what else? There's one more, and I forgot. Success. Yeah. And then you can write here an error occurred, and just use the error, and you can have a full response for error as well. So I'm going to have a full response, and an error occurred while fetching the response, and we are good. Now we're going to have a message placeholder dot markdown to show the full response. If that error is not there, then that's your output. So let's have a full response, and then st.session is still going to append that. So how st.session is state, and then append the, excuse me, messages.append. Not, we have to do it with the, excuse me, role assistant, and then content, and I'm going to pass my content as full response, and we are good. Now let's run the code, guys, and see what happens. What I'm going to do is I'm going to have, excuse me, this hanged. So I'm going to open a terminal here, and, excuse me, activate procedure dot, and then I'm gonna just do excuse me, streamlit run app.py, and it already automatically opens a tab in the browser. You can see it's running on localhost 85.1, and I'm gonna ask what is AI or something. Now, when you ask this, you can see it says AI or artificial intelligence refers to the simulation of human intelligence in machines that are programmed, blah, blah, blah. You can also ask write a fast API code to make an API call using request module. Or let me do like write a fast API code to make an API that calls weather data using request module. Let's see what happens when I do that. I'm assuming that it should give me, a fast API code, and you can see it over here. And by the way, guys, we have used blocking. We haven't used streaming. If you want to do that, feel free to do it. Now, if you look at here, we are using Markdown, so automatically formats the code. It says here is an example of how you can create a fast API application in Python that makes an API call to retrieve weather data using the requests module, and you get the output over here. This is fantastic. So guys, what we did now, even if you are someone who has limited capabilities, on how to build chatbots, how to build AI applications, it's not rocket science. That's what I'm trying to show you. Not everybody having a PhD in natural language or an AI, right? In that scenario, you need something to test your use cases, test your the feasibility of the use cases, how you can do that. This is how you can do it, guys. You can come here, orchestrate, You can add more components over here. You can bring up your knowledge base. You can upload your document. You can see this is how you can do it. You can create a knowledge, click on create a knowledge, import some files, or sync with your Notion database or any website. You can sync from website. For that you need paid D5. You need Firecrawl to use that and import from file. Now, its choice is yours. How do you want to build a knowledge base? But yeah, the idea is go ahead and build it, and you can just do, come here. Let me just go to Studio and let me go to Demo Bot, Orchestrate, and just come to API access. You get your API and the endpoint, and build a Streamlit application or a Gradio application, or use that, within your React application or a mobile application wherever. This is what I want to do in this in this video, with this experimentation. Hope you got a bit of idea on how to use the Dify bot within the Streamlit application. All right, guys, so you can find the code for this tutorial here on my GitHub repository that's called Dify Streamlit Chat app. I'll give the link in description, and this is where you find out the app.py, where you can just take this and of course enhance and build on top of it. This is what I wanted to create in this video, to show you how you can set up Dify, create a workflow and use the API within a Streamlit application to build a chatbot kind of a system. If you have any question, thoughts, or feedbacks, do let me know in the comment box. You can also reach out to me through my social media channels. Find those information on channel banner and channel about us. If you like the content, please hit the like icon. If you haven't subscribed the channel yet, please do subscribe the channel, guys. That motivates me to create more such videos. Thank you so much for watching. See you in the next one.